Good.
You. All right, thank you. Okay. So my name is Oluwasewadio. I run an online writing community where we come together as PhD researchers and we have a writing task just to keep us going with our PhD. But this section actually is not for PhD students alone. So we made it open to others and others that are interested in academia, probably undergraduate or master students or anyone that just want to improve on their writing skill this year. So that's the aim of this section. And the previous section for our writing community, one of the common requests is that people struggle a lot with the actual skill for their writing, and that is why we have actually decided to start. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that is why we decided to hold sections, not just about writing, to teach people on how to improve on their writing skill. And so that's our agenda for today. So for the next 20 to 25 minutes, I'll be presenting on the common academic writing mistakes. And after that, Latif will be coming up to speak to us about systematic literature review and is going to give us some tips to improve on that skill. Then also, like I said, I'm the host of this writing community. My research is on AI in SMEs, and I could just give you a short introduction about myself. So I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Greater Manchester. Then my master's degree was in international business management from the University of Coventry. And I also attended the University of Salford. I had a master's degree on managing innovation and information technology. So that's all about me. And if you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, you could just scan the QR code probably for the next few seconds before we go into our my presentation for today. So I just want to appreciate you all for joining. I understand that some of us might be in transit and some of us might be at work. So, but you can try to engage as much as you can, and you can make use of the chat box for any questions if you have anything that you have to say to contribute. So it's not about me; it's about us. So I would like us to keep engaging as much as possible. Thank you once again for joining. All right, so I'm just going to share the actual presentation. All right, so today I want to speak to us about the common academic writing mistakes. So as can you see the screen for the other presentation? Is that what you can see now? Hello?
Yeah, we sharpen your academic writing.
Oh,
Research
okay.
skills for academic skills writing. That's what's showing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm just going to close that up and show the actual what's it called? Please bear with me. Okay. So is this can you see the screen now?
Yes, common academic
Oh,
writing mistakes. Cheers.
thank you so much. Yeah. All right. All right. So today, like I said, I'll be presenting the common academic writing mistakes. And I feel this section is quite important because we as students, whether undergraduates or PhD students or master students, we all have to engage in academic writing at a point. Maybe it's as a requirement for you to be able to complete your award, you have to have done a coursework. So we all require academic writing. So that is why it's quite important. And one of the struggle we have is we just get stuck. Even for professors at a point in their life when they're writing articles or anything, they still get stuck along the line. Writing is not something that just comes naturally. You keep practicing to improve yourself. So the agenda for today is the important step in academic writing. What's the most critical step for us to engage in academic writing? What's the importance of reading in improving an academic writing? And some of the common academic writing mistakes I personally have identified that is common among academia or students in general. Then I'm going to introduce a decision-making model that we can apply to improve our writing. So I'm just going to ask this question: what's the most important step in academic writing? So you can just put the answer in the chat box, what you feel. So there's no wrong or right answer. What's like the most important thing to you when you want to engage in an academic writing? Just for a second, and I will show you what my own opinion is. Okay, so for me, I feel reading is the first thing that should come first when you're talking about academic writing. So for you to write about something, that means you have knowledge about it, you have information about the particular subject. And for you to engage in good academic writing, it start with good piece of maybe literature or articles or evidences that you've gathered about the subject area. So reading is quite important, but the age of AI and automated tools, we tend to like leave it behind and feel it's not as important as it should be. I've seen some few colleagues laugh when they see students reading articles. They're like, "Do you still read at this age?" But the reality is, we can't eliminate reading in academic writing. So there are different types of reading. It could be skimming, it could be deep reading, it could be scanning through. But at the point, we still need to read about the subject area. So why does reading comes first for me? So, like I said, it gives you the background about the subject area. So what's the context of your research? So the first thing you want to do is gather background about this area you're talking about, you're writing about. So it helps you understand the research conversation. What are other scholars saying about this particular subject? What's the most important thing about this subject area? Then the structure. It helps us engage in learning disciplinary language and structure. So when you read, you have an idea of the themes that emerge from your studies, and you'll be able to structure your writing accordingly. So it helps you understand the major terminology within the field. So reading is quite important in structuring your work. And for evaluation, so when you gather your information together from different sources, you are able to identify the arguments around the topic area. You're able to analyze the methods. You're going to find the gaps that exist in that subject area based on the information you gather. And criticality, this is the most important thing. So a lot of students get this feedback and say, oh, your writing is quite descriptive. It's not critical enough. So when you engage with good sources, good evidences, when I say good sources, I mean materials or textbooks, articles, whatever, where you're gathering your information from, you'll be able to develop critical thinking because a lot of things comes to your mind when you read. You ask question, then what, then what, then what. So you have an idea of developing a critical argument about the subject area. So it's quite important because of these four reasons. So, but there is always this struggle with balancing reading and writing. So I've heard so many professors or supervisors says you just have to write along as you read. For me, I do not really agree with that. The reality about it is reading and writing are quite different, although they are intersected, but reading would inform your writing. Similarly, writing will inform deeper reading. So as you read along, you get information on what to write. Similarly, as you're writing, you have some questions running through your mind. So that's going to encourage you to go back and read. So instead of saying you write while you read, I would rather say you take notes while you're writing, while you're reading, sorry. So whatever information you find useful within the source where you're reading, you're able to write your ideas, construct your questions, then you think about the connections between all those things. So notes taking rather than trying to mix things up, trying to write a perfect piece while still getting the information you need. So just draft your thoughts as you read. So instead of saying you're writing, you could just do like a draft. Okay, this is what I found. It's quite interesting. Sometimes I copy a whole chunk of paragraph, paste it on my draft, yeah, then I could work on it and develop it later on. But we need to be careful. So there is always a everyone gets stuck on this. Don't overwhelm yourself with too much information. You need to know the boundary on when to stop. What is the scope of your research? So when you start having too many information, you end up having the same problem as not having enough information because you're just overwhelmed. You don't know, okay, I've got this information. What do I do with it? So, and what? Those are the kind of questions that comes to our mind. We get confused. Oh, this is just a lot now. But that's why you need to know the scope and the boundary of your study. So you can't look into everything. For instance, if I'm working on sustainability and there's a particular area of sustainability I'm looking at, so you already have a scope. That's why we have aim and objective of the research area. Don't go beyond it. So don't make things too complicated for yourself. It's good to have to find new insights, but be careful so that you're not overwhelmed with information that are not really useful for you. Then think critically while reading to prepare for writing. So along the line, when you're reading, you already have some questions in your mind, and those questions are what you're going to answer when you're doing your writing. But despite good reading habits, we still face some challenges when we are writing, and it's quite difficult. Sometimes we get stuck, we just get stuck. We can't just move forward and nothing is just coming through for us. And so that's why I'm going to speak to you and share some of the 10 academic writing mistakes that I thought about. So one of the first issue is automation, over reliance on AI tools. So it's quite good. AI is good. My research is on AI, but as academia, we need to be careful. AI, using AI for our academic work can kill the creativity in us. So it's not going to make you think critically because you feel you can just ask ChatGPT. The answer you need is quite easier for us. So it's also the same thing with this second. I'm just trying to look for a particular word that can fit in. So what I could think of is shortcutism. We're just looking for shortcuts. We need to get our work done as soon as possible. Okay, I can see the question. So at the end of the sections, I would answer the question. So, so we're looking for shortcuts to get things done as quickly as possible, and we just want. So it's still related to the automation. Fine, we can use AI as a collaborative tool, but I realized when we totally depend on it, your own creativity goes down. So we need to be careful. The aimlessness. When we read it without purpose, like I was saying the other time, when we read, you have to be deliberate about what you're reading and don't go beyond the scope of your research area. You have so many information that might not be relevant along the line. So read with purpose. Read because you're looking for answers to some questions about your subject area. Then structure. So we all struggle with this for structuring of ideas. I wish we had enough time. I would have shared some model that can help us structure our work. And I would just cite an example. So there's this model, it's called PEES. That means you're putting a point on a paragraph. You're not overwhelming your writing by doing so. So just know that if you're following this model, you know that I have a point in my mind, and that is what I'm putting on this particular paragraph. Then the E stands for evidence. So that what are the other scholars saying about this subject, these points that I have made? So you put an evidence to back it up. Then you have another E, you set an example. You cite E is an example of what you're talking about. Then S is a summary of the whole points you've made in the paragraph. If you follow this structure when you're writing, it's going to help you develop a good writing skill. So I'm looking to hold a academic writing workshop. So we're going to have practical section where we can try all this model. And the last one is linearity. We all tend to write in a particular sequence. So it's not going to work because our mind is trained to like start writing our introduction first. Then you want to go to literature review and everything. So what we're doing is we end up being stuck because introduction that we write first is like one of the most difficult aspect of writing. So rather than writing in linearity, why not write as the ideas come for you? So for me, if I'm going to write an article today, I will start the research method. I will start with the research method because it's like the easiest for me to write. So this is the process that I followed in this study. Then along the line, you can now start developing the point and think of as the ideas come. You don't have to go linear. There is no law that say you have to write from the start to finish. So you can write as these ideas come. So we don't need to write in a strict sequence. It's going to get us stuck along the line. Then perfection is, you want just to be perfect. We start editing and editing. This happens to me a lot. And I see that at the end of the day, I'm just stuck on a particular paragraph because I'm trying to make it perfect. So instead of making it perfect, just write your draft. No one is reading your draft. It's your draft. It's just your copy. Then when you're done with your writing, you can go back to it and start editing grammar and whatever mistakes you have on it. But if you have the habit of trying to make it perfect at the goal, you get stuck and you spend a lot of time or waste a lot of time on writing. Procrastination. So this happens to most of us. When we delay our writing tasks, we end up giving a lower quality of work. So it's quite important that we try to have a timetable, and this timetable will keep us going. So it will guide you on what to do, and you're taking your time to deliver something quite quality instead of rushing the work that needs to be done because you have a deadline. And disconnection. So we know that academic writing, you need to cite whatever evidences you've got. But most of the time, you can't even remember who said this, who said that. So it's quite important that you keep track of your references. So for me, what I do is when I copy a particular phrase or particular paragraph from a source, I just paste it in my work, I highlight, then I put the name of the author, like cite it immediately. So that way I don't forget to reference when I'm writing out the points. So you need to find a way that works for you. So you'll be able to keep track of your referencing. So procrastination and disorganization, I think they goes hand in hand. So we need to have a clear writing timetable. So if you want to start a new piece of academic writing, for instance, the first thing you should think about is, okay, this is the time frame I need to read the articles I'll be using for this study. Okay, after doing this, this is what I'm doing next. So when you have a clear structure of schedule, it's going to help you deliver good quality. And lastly, oversaturation. So I already talked about oversaturation earlier on, saying reading out of context, reading beyond the project scope. Fine, it's actually good once in a while when we do that. Like we get emerging and interesting evidence when we do that, but it could be an issue if you have so many information that are not really relevant to your studies. So we need to understand the scope of her research area. But what I've identified is this: all these writing challenges can be resolved if we overcome thinking challenges. I think these writing challenges are more of thinking challenges. So look at this cube. Just imagine we have crowd around this cube, and when we ask what's the color of the cube, we're going to have different colors, definitely. I can see orange at the side, pink, and the rest. So that's just the way we need to think when we are engaging in an academic writing. We have different perspective to things. So as an academia, you just don't look at things from the surface. You need to look at it critically. Look at every possible angle you could think of. So good writing requires different ways of thinking. And that is why I thought about a model. I was trying to prevent this and prepare this slide, and something came to my mind. It was a decision-making model. So I felt this could help us with academic writing. I love models so much, and I like to apply it to everything in my life. And I thought about Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats model. I don't know if we've heard about it before. It's a decision-making model that's help us structure our thinking about how to think before making a decision. So the model is actually talking about 6 hats. We put on different hats based on the situation. So Edward's hat, the white hat, represents facts and evidence. So what's the reality of the situation? So you think in a way, what is the actual facts about this before I make my decision? Then his red hat talks about your feelings and intuition. So that's what comes to your mind. We react to things. It's not because we have control over it. What is the first thing that comes to your mind about the situation? So it's the 6 thinking hats, and it's by Edward de Bonos. Can you see my slide?
I can't see any from my end. We can't see. It's just your title page.
We can't see your slide.
Wow. Is it the same for everyone?
Yeah, I think so. It's just your title page.
Yes.
Oh my
You
God.
can control it. I've had to control myself on the bottom where the page numbers are. So we can follow a conversation, but control the pages ourselves because we can't really see.
I'm really sorry. I thought I was sharing my screen. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, we can see that.
Can you see now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. So sorry about that. So I could just run through some of the things that I've shared, probably just to improve the engagement. Okay, so this was about the agenda, and I talked about reading. So the importance of reading in helping us in good academic writing. Then I spoke about the reason why reading is quite important. So I spoke about the context. I spoke about the structure, then evaluation and criticality. So those are the major points I spoke about. Then I also talked about the need to balance between reading and writing. So some of the challenges we have, reading makes us think, and it's going to help us in our writing. Similarly, when we're writing, we end up in deeper reading, and the need to take notes while we're reading so that you can have an idea of the structure of your work, what you're thinking about the conversation, and the questions and the connections. Then I talked about why we need to keep our draft, our point as we read along. Then criticality, the need for thinking critically. So I also shared some of the common mistakes: automation, shortcutism, aimlessness, structure, and linearity. So those were the things I spoke about. Then perfectionism, procrastination, disconnection, and disorganization, as well as oversaturation. So those were the things we talked about. Then I shared a cue that is going to help us think about different perspective to things. So different thinking and different perspective requires different way of thinking. Like, so if I'm at this angle, I can see orange color, but if I'm at the other point, I could see maybe pink or purple. So as an academia, we need to look at things critically, not just at the surface. So think about the possible perspective of the situation. So I was saying that I thought about a model that could help us structure our thinking when it comes to academic writing. And the one I thought of was Edward. So it's called Six Thinking Hats. You could also look for the book. The name of the book is Six Thinking Hats, and it's by Edward de Bono. So Edward was talking about decision making. The model is also actually for decision making. It's just that the Edward thought about we can make decisions by looking at different perspective of things. And he thought of, okay, we could have 6 hats. Depending on the scenario, depending on the situation, we put on this hat to help us think at that point. And the first one was the white hat. So the white hat was talking about facts and evidence about the situation. What is the reality of the situation? Then the next one is the red hat. So the red hat is just your reaction. We react sometimes not controllable. What's the first thing that comes to our mind about a particular situation? So it's about the feelings and the intuition. Then the next one is critical judgment. So this is my feeling about this situation, but this is the fact. How do I balance it both? So that's why you need to put on your black hats and you have to make critical judgment about that situation. Then it talks about creativity and ideas. So using my critical judgments, what can I do differently? So that is what the green hat talks about there. Then the yellow hat is value and contribution. So based on my creativity, what contribution am I going to make? Then structure and control. So it's about the process. How do I control my decision making so that it's not high risk? So putting all these hats together, when you look at those different perspectives, you're going to have a critical thinking. So let's apply this to our writing problems. Okay, so we can just apply these thinking hats to our application and to our writing. And the white hats, so as academia, we want to put on as white hats and look at things. We go through our sources, our materials to find evidence, to find definitions, to find sources about the particular subject area. Then the black hat would help us find the limitations, the critique and weakness within the study area. Then the green hat would help us formulate new ideas. All these ideas, we can synthesize them together and create a connection. Then we talk about the red hat. So that's your own initial reaction. What is your position and what is your voice about this subject? So we need to be careful as academia. I can say, you can just say, okay, I feel this. No, so there has to be an evidence. So that is why you need to balance between your own feeling and the evidence you have. So your black hat is going to help you with that criticality. Then the yellow, think about the strength, think about your contribution you want to make and the significance. And lastly, the blue hat is going to help you structure your ideas together and you're going to have a smooth flow and coherence. So we can always think about our writing piece in this perspective. Look at the possible act you could put on. So at the point where you're gathering information, you need to put on your white hat, get right information for the subject area. So using the right hat at the right time can help us solve most of these writing challenges. So I'm just going to conclude. I think I'm over by 1 minute now. Good academic writing is not about writing faster. It's about thinking better. And most of the writing problem are majorly thinking problems. So we need to read with purpose, think deliberately, and write with clarity. So we're planning to hold a 2 hours online practical writing section, and we'll be able to actively use some of the models in our writing activities, because I've had a lot of people ask questions about, oh, are we going to write in any of these sections? But I've not concluded. I would send out invites later on once we decide on a date on when we are going to hold this practical section. And thank you so much for joining. Probably we'll have to leave the questions. I can see there are some questions already till the end of the section. So I'm going to introduce Latif. So let me just read through about his background. So Latif Damilare Olushesi is a PhD student at the University of Greater Manchester in the United Kingdom. Between 2018 and 2022, he served as a lecturer at the Department of Industrial Relations and Personnel Management, University of Ilorin, Kwara State, Nigeria. He is a diligent scholar and seasoned professional interested in business management and leadership. He holds a distinction in MSc Human Resources from Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen, UK. Also a distinction in MSc Industrial Relations and Personnel Management from the University of Lagos, Lagos State, Nigeria, and a first-class honor in BSc Industrial Relations and Personnel Management from Osun State University, Osun State, Nigeria. He has expanded on these abilities and experience and an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development, UK associate member of the Nigeria Institute of Management, and associate member of the Institute of Management Leadership and Productivity. Presently, he is a business tutor at Edinburgh Napier University. So let's welcome, I'm just going to stop sharing now. So let's welcome Latif. Latif is quite an humble person. So I also have some comment to make about him. Latif is not just a PhD researcher. I would say he is a Google scholar. You need to look him up on Google Scholar, and you can see he has over 20 publications on Google. So he's contributing to the academia space. So let's welcome him as he will be presenting today. Systematic literature review. Can you please welcome me? Thank you so much for clapping.
Thank you so much.
Do you have access, Latif?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Do you have access to the screen to present?
Yes, let me try and set that up now. Can you see my screen?
Let me just try. See. Sorry, I can't see your screen.
Okay, what can you see? Can you see? What about now?
Because Elizabeth, your screen is still showing.
So okay, maybe you need to stop sharing first. Yeah.
Okay, so let me stop sharing that then.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, I can't see the interface to stop sharing.
Just beside the layout, you can say preview, private preview. Just stop sharing from there.
Why did you put it there?
It's still there. It's not working for me. Oh, okay.
Can
all right. Now? I think you already.
Okay. Okay. Let me share now.
Thank
all right. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Latif Olushesi, and I'm happy to be here today to present about systematic literature review, and also just for us to discuss if you have done any systematic literature review before, and maybe you have some, some limitation or some questions. So I think this is the right time for us to discuss that. Okay, I'm trying to move to the next. Sorry, I'm trying to move to the next section. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so
Yes,
all
we
we
can
would
see
just
it.
want to talk about within 50 minutes or thereabout is systematic literature review. So we are going to just run about what we need to, the learning objective for today, which is first thing we need to know after this class is to understand the purpose and importance of systematic literature review, which is the SLR, and also learn the key steps involved in conducting an SLR. So another thing is to identify common challenges, because we've seen a lot of challenges. People have challenges when it comes to the SLR, and also the best practice in SLR, and also how can we now apply this in our various topics or in our various research work. So okay, so we have different type of as we said, systematic literature review is a literature review on its own, and we have different type of literature review. We have rapid literature review, we have scoping, we have systematic, we have argumentative, we have integrative, and we have theoretical literature review. So, but today we won't be talking about the five. We just have to pick the SLR, because once if we talk about these six types, we won't leave here today. So what we just do is just talk about the SLR and how do we conduct our research when it comes to SLR. So the first thing is the definition of SLR and the purpose of systematic literature review. And what I always talk about SLR is just SLR is not, there's no big deal there. What you need to do in SLR is just the summary and evaluation of literature. So if you can mind how you report your search, and SLR, what you need to do is you have to be very mindful of the steps. There is no step in SLR that you can't pay attention to. Okay, so you have to start documenting right from the search of your topic to the conclusion of your SLR. So, and as we know, SLR use a logic and complete plan to find and evaluate the literature on a stated topic. So if you have a topic on your PhD or your master's or anything, so SLR is very good. And I think this is the shortcut for us if you want to have a quick paper on your research, because we believe if we are doing a PhD, we want to make ourselves proud and our supervisor. If you can submit maybe into 18 months of your program a very good SLR, I think it's a very good fit for that particular research work. And also it will also show that, oh, you are on a good right on your topic. You've already searched enough articles. You are not doing a repetition work maybe someone has done somewhere. So doing an SLR also is very important when it comes to you trying to be sure about your topic, be sure about your research gap, and you want to be sure about the stated research objective that you have. So the purpose is just that SLR are particularly powerful in collecting and analyzing existing work, which is a common task in established background knowledge in any research. So first now, before you start your SLR, what you need to do is you have to look at your topic. So first thing now, let's say you have a topic now, you are looking into leadership in Africa or any other topic, AI and digital marketing. So now when you are searching, the first thing you need to do is to look at the 5 to 10 years back whether similar review has been undertaken, or identify the focus of this review, which is very important because I've done some mistake before. I've written a paper trying to get some editor. Before I know, they said, oh, something of this nature has been done. So it's just like wasting effort if you don't take the first stage of your SLR very important. It might be very difficult. So another point is, before you start your SLR, you need to review of review. So review of review is that you've set your articles, you've set your research anywhere, any research tool you are using. I always like to search across broad, like, because I don't just want to use only Google Scholar to search my article. I use Google Scholar, use Scopus, I use Web of Science. When you use all these tools, you will be sure of what you're looking for. And sometimes, definitely, when you are downloading articles for SLR, definitely you might download 3, 4 same articles. That is not a problem. Just keep them. You understand? When in SLR, you will get to a stage where you are going to, try to select the one you are going to use and the one you are not going to use. So that's why I call that review of review, and also differentiate from previous review, which is very important. What we're just doing in SLR is we don't want to do something someone has done before. We are just trying, you as a academic scholar, you're trying to contribute your own little findings or little gap that someone has identified, because how do we know this research is very important for us to carry out, because you need to do some review, which is very important. So now, what are the features of SLR? So I'll just scan through this, so because we still have a deep part of SLR to do. So the first two features is the transparent and reproducible methodology. Another one is structured and comprehensive. It has to be comprehensive. That's SLR. So to me, I think if you want to have a very good SLR, you should target about, it depends on where you are publishing though, because they might give you some templates of some word count, but it should not be minimum, maybe about 8,000 words. So you should know what we are talking about when we have 8,000 words of articles or a book chapter. So it should also be systematic, replicable, and rigorous. So replicable in such thing that if you use a tools, you are going to give account of it. If another scholar, another researcher anywhere, let's say you have done a research in Ghana or you have done a research in United Kingdom and you publish the article, and we have someone in Saudi Arabia which is interested in using the same method that you have adopted. So that particular person should be able to replicable, there should be a replicable in the process of this SLR, that there should be any difficulty for this particular person. High level of objectivity, definitely you have to set a very good objective. You have to have in mind what you are trying to look, what you want, what you are trying to put out there, what your contribution will be, and what's it called, what the research is all about. Another thing is considerable immersion of reviewer in individual studies. So we have working productively and mindful of biases, transparency, coverage, saturation. All this is just the future, but the main research is where you are reporting your SLR. We have two key features: the systematicality and the generativity. These are just for literature's sake. So this is where SLR is very important, the steps. So now the key step in SLR. So for me, when I'm doing my SLR, when I wanted to start my PhD, my supervisor told me to have in mind I'm going to have a session for SLR. So as a PhD, you don't know what to do, you are still very fresh. What I did is to download, I think in a month, I have to review about 420 to 410 articles. It was not easy, but the account of downloading, trying to put all the summary, put all the findings, put all what the methodology the person have used, what is the findings, what is the suggestion for future study. So what I do is, once I download all these articles, I then have a separate Word document So this Word document, I just try to label it. So if I pick one article today, or in a day, maybe I want to read about 5 articles. So this is a stage of planning. So I'm just trying to, when you talk about SLR, we have just 3 steps. The first one is the search strategy. The second one is the first one is the planning, the second one is the conducting, and the third one is documenting of your research. So I'm just trying to talk about the first thing you need to do, because people really don't understand what are the things you need to put into your SLR before it actually go out there as SLR. So now, first thing is reporting of your what's it called, reporting of articles. Let's say now, for example, for this session today, let's say we have about 450 articles that we have already sorted in our appendix, so just for external use. So when we talk about search strategy, how do you search? Because as a marker, as a reviewer, I'm reading your SLR, you are not there, I'm only having your paper with me. There should be account of everything you have done in your work. So now the first thing is planning. So first stage in planning now is identify the need of SLR. Why do you want to do SLR for your research? You need to give an account of this. You understand? So you need to give an account of why SLR is important for this topic. So at the end of this, I'm going to show us some already done research, so we can actually see how this is being done. But have in mind that the planning, the first thing you do is identify the need for SLR. And the second thing under planning is for you to specify your research question, which is very important. So now, have in mind that after we have done, what we talk about the futures of SLR, you need to first, try to look backward 5 to 10 years, what it has been done. So now let's say we've done that and we have a unique research question. That is where you need to put it. And to me, for SLR, I think about 1 or 2 research question is okay, because people can easily, want to have about 4 or 5. No, this is not a thesis. You remember, this is just, the SLR is useful when you want to, contribute in a book chapter, or you want to publish an article, or you just want an extra evidence for your project, which, your thesis. You just want, because during my own research, a question I was asked why I'm doing SLR is because my case study is on hospitality in Nigeria. So doing a research BAM in 2025 in Kent University, a question was raised, like, how do you sure you have done a comparative study for your work? So what I just said is that I've done a systematic literature review for my work, and during my systematic literature review, all articles I took into account are from various parts of the country, various parts of hospitality in Nigeria, in Asia, in Ghana, So I think, so these are things that help you to answer some question when it comes to maybe Viva or how to. So now you have to be sure of your research question. And the next thing now to do is to define review protocol, which is very important. When we talk about divine review protocol, we are talking about how your review will be done, or how this has been done. You understand? So this is what we talk about, review of protocol. And under this review of protocol, there are some certain section or some certain expectation we are expecting from you, or the reviewer is expecting from you. The first thing can be the purpose of your study. The next thing can be what framework. Have you adopted any framework? Mind you, you can adopt maybe a conceptual framework, you can adopt maybe a theoretical framework. What database have you used? What search strategy have you used? Give an account of this, you understand? And also, this can also give you, you can leverage on what studies, the selection process you have used. How many paper do you take from this site? How many paper do you take from this? How many paper do you take from this? You understand? So we just want you to do a very robust research when it comes to the plan. And this is the first thing. Once you have any error, once you have any mistake in your planning stage, I bet you the systematic literature review might not flow as you want, you understand? So, and also the importance of defining your review protocol, because these serve as a blueprint. You understand? And also this will prevent biases in your research when you are trying to make your judgment, maybe when it comes to the conclusion, when it comes to the analysis or anything, you understand? So that is what is all about that. So everything we just have there is protocol evaluation. Like you just want to like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. Okay, before you now proceed to what we call the second stage. In second stage, we also we always have what we call inclusion and exclusion. I'm very sure if we have come across all this in maybe an article when you are reading inclusion and exclusion. So when we talk about stage 2, we talk about conducting. Now we want to conduct our research. You understand? So you have report in your planning what research objective or research question you are going to be using. And in your research objective or research question, you have your key terms, such as maybe AI, such as leadership, such as, any topic you are trying to consider under this systematic review. So now the first thing under conducting is to select your premise studies. So now from all the, So now from all the articles you've downloaded, you've tried to sort them. Okay, this one is useful. You don't delete anything when it comes to systematic literature review. If you don't need an article, just what I do is just have just have an Excel. In Excel, you can have multiple tabs in Excel. If you don't use this now, just put it in one tab and make sure you label it well. So now the first thing is to select premise studies. So how do you do this? Number one is to assess quality studies. What are the studies that are very paramount to your research question? Let's say we've sought that we have about 100 research, which is very good. You have that at one side. Now, what do you need to do here? If you are reporting, don't mind you, we are doing a systematic literature review. First thing I always do here is to mindful of my author for each article, the year of publication, what method have they used, what is their findings, is it qualitative, quantitative method? It depends on what you are trying to do. Another thing is it depends on your research question, but for the previous experience I've had, I was able to identify what sector was that paper published. Is it in the hospitality? If it's in the hospitality, like for my own work, what type of hospitality? Is it a 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel, 3? Is it bar or something? So these are the reports you need to bring out from your work. You just have to give account of this. And next stage is data extraction and synthesis. So now this is where you are now carrying out your actual work. You understand? How do you do this? Like we said, it's just a continuation of what we have been doing. So here now, when we talk about data extraction, you want to bring out the usefulness, the literature that are useful from your articles, from the articles you have downloaded or you have reported in your Excel. So now what the first thing is the study details. Like I said before, you need to bring your authors, year, and the country, because all this you are still going to need them. Another thing you need to consider is the population and the participants. You consider the population and the participant, and also the outcome and the key findings, sample size, limitation, quality of indicators or anything, depend on what actual research question you are trying to find out. Because what we want to do with all this information is everything has to be reported. Let's say I'm going to show you a paper where about I have to combine definitions of leadership. I have to combine how many theories was used. That is how I even got my own theories from my own dissertation. What I do when I was doing my SLR is to report. I think I was able to make use of about 62 articles at my final stage of my SLR. So from these 62 articles, I was able to extract how many theories did they talk about, which theory is more important to my work. So from this SLR, what I just do is, system theory is the theory I will be adopting for my work. And that is it. So this is one of the benefits of you doing a very rigorous work when it comes to SLR. So now, another thing you need to do in data synthesis is when you now have to define the themes. If you are going with themes, it's fine. You are going with similarities, you are going with differences, you are going with patterns. Anything you want to do these are permitted under this session. So now, but for me, what I do is I use themes, because from themes, I will be able, when I'm okay now, for example, let's say I'm looking at leadership. I'm looking at leadership in hospitality. So now what I do is I've set up my research question. Okay, I'm trying to look at maybe the competencies. How do they I want to look at how sustainability, how do hospitality managers report their sustainability. How do they do this over the years, over the years, over the years? So in my synthesis, I want to develop some themes that will help me in my analysis stage. So now what I'm going to do here is to now look at different themes. At this stage, I can even have what I call map. It's themes map. I can have, different from the articles I'm using. I've looked at their report. Oh, this one talk about maybe using of performance management, 360 performance. This one talk about using employee interaction. This one talk about using employee involvement. I'm going to have all this on a page of a paper. Then what I need to do here, I want to do a synthesis. So I'm going to now map which of these themes falls into the categories. In a category 1, I might have about 3 or 4. Category 2, I might have 3. Category 5, I might have 6. But all this, I still want to have just one single, for single themes. Then I need to look at this 3 or 4, then bring one that can easily summarize the 3 variables that I have. You understand? So this is how you do that. So now documenting your research, which is the clarification. Okay, let me briefly talk about the inclusion and exclusion, because when you are doing SLR, reviewer always wants you to have a table of inclusion and exclusion. So now, inclusion, what are the papers? What do you use in your paper? Okay, first inclusion is I use paper between 2010 to 2005. I use paper that are only qualitative or only quantitative or both. I use paper that are published I use paper only from Google Scholar, only from this. So everything that you are doing, this is now the stage you need to put them. Maybe you can just put it in a box, just inclusion and exclusion. What is your exclusion? Okay, I excluded maybe paper that were published in 1995. I excluded maybe paper that does not have suggestion for further findings. Yes, that is some exclusion. I excluded paper that are not relevant to my case studies. That is another one. And I exclude. So you can have, you mentioned it's not just one or two. It depends on what research you are carrying out and how you have planned or how you have searched for all your research papers. So now don't forget to do that. So now the last stage is classification and comparison. So now here we are trying to document our research. Mind you, you have do your data extraction, your data synthesis, you have done everything, you have your research question, You have your research protocol, you have why you have done your SLR. So now here is for us to draw a conclusion. So now, how do you draw a conclusion? But before you draw a conclusion, researcher always wants you to account, because this is a paper, this is an article, this is not a paper for you to be able to explain yourself. You need to explain yourself on this article, on this paper, because you are sending it out. The reviewer might be in America, might be in Africa, anywhere. So everything you have to document. So the first thing is to analyze your traits. What are the traits? Yeah, if you are familiar with qualitative very well, when you talk about qualitative, you always talk about validity and reliability. So in SLR, something like this is what scholars have brought into play, that we should have something to try to you have to account for what is your validity, what is we are trying to analyze the threat, and which is threat of validity. What is your selection biases, how do you select your work, publication, because so now let's say in your what's it called, in your Excel, like I said, you need to report all these things. This is very helpful. Publication, I only have used you can even do all this in bar chart. Maybe this article is published maybe from Journal of Agriculture, this one is Journal of Economics, Journal of this, Journal of that. They just want to have an idea of this, and reporting biases, methodology limitation. Is there any limitation to your tools that you have used, or is there any? If there is any, you need to report. I'm very sure there will be one or two threat of validity that you need to report. So now the next thing is report your results. When you want to report your results, how do you now answer your research question from the data extraction, from all these studies you have done? Then you need to let's say you are trying to, let's say our research question is, we are looking for a perfect definition for leadership. You understand? And from your teams, you have seen how people have defined leadership over the years. And at the end of your data extraction and synthesis, you were able to come up with some things that will help you to now report a very good definition of leadership in your sectors, because this is one of the objective I set out for myself. That leadership in hospitalities, people is literally, I was able to see about 5 or 6 of leadership in hospitality after my research. But mind you, you need to report when you are reporting. That's why I said you need to give account of every step of your research. Let's say I stopped searching for my articles in 2005, December 13. You need to report this, because don't mind you, another research or another article might be out there maybe on the 1st of January 2026. So we will be sure, or the reviewer will be sure, that you did not take account these articles. So you have already put your the date of where you stop your search, which is very important. So the reviewer know what judgment he or she need to make based on what findings you have come with. So now this reporting your what's it called? Reporting your results. You give out your results. You give out the discussion. Definitely, you have to discuss You can discuss this with others. What I do is, when I have a discussion, maybe I have a headings, what I just look at some empirical facts and give it. Look at what this person, does my research corroborate with what someone have done in 2024, or does it oppose what someone has done because people find it difficult when it comes to discussion of findings. That is just discussion of findings. We are just discussing our findings. It's not a must for your research to corroborate with what this person has done. No, your research might go other way, because that person might have used a quantitative study. That person might have used a qualitative study. Okay, are you with me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we're with you.
Okay. So now, discussion. So you have to give an account. You can even make some references here, some citation that, according to Shola 2025, it divine leadership as so. But your research, divine leadership you are trying to update what that person have done. So you are bringing another what's it called? I think this is very important in people doing AI, because these are new research that is coming out day by day. You understand? So now you give your conclusion, and definitely you can set out a future research agenda, because there might be a tools that you have not used that you want a future researcher to use. And this is even from further research agenda is where I even gather my own research gap easily. I just bring them out easily, list them, just oppose them, give them a teams, and I will be able to, at least give them some references, because it's very important. Oh, you said you are working on this gap. Where do you see this gap? Oh, according to this. So the person must be. So, and when you are searching your articles, please, there is something we call search string. You need to document all this, because if someone take your what's it called? I'm still going to give us that, because I think I've before this class I've seen some question. People said, oh, how do you even search? Some people said, oh, I've searched articles, I only see 20 articles on my topic. I said, it's the way you search, you understand? So we can just let's just move to that now. I think we've talked about this. This is just a summary. And so when we talk about conducting the step 2, conducting your systematic literary review, there are still different ways that you can do this. So now there is one style that I think this style is very familiar, but I think it's more familiar in the medical field, because I've come across some papers, most in health. We call it PICO style. Talks about the population, the intervention, the comparison, and the outcome. Actually, in management science, it's very straight for me to say PICO style, but it's very important, because this is why we are a researcher. If you can adopt a style, it will be a very good paper you putting out there and trying to answer some difficult questions. You understand? But I will just take us to the one most of us might be familiar with, which is the Prisma guideline. I think that is what most of us might have said something like this in articles or something, and oh, you wonder what's this arrow all about. So let's just run through this. So now let's take from the first step, which is previous studies. Like I said, you need to give an account between 5 to 10 years back what you have done. So now identification. Under identification, the first box we have here is studies included in previous version of review. How many are they? You understand? You need to count this. That's why I said, if you put all this your paper in Excel format, it will be very easy for you to know, oh, it's 20, it's 50, it's 100, you understand? Let's say it's 50, you need to put it here, or 100, you understand? So now the next one is reports of studies included in previous version of review. How many are they? You need to put this there. You understand? So now the next box talks about okay, let's just follow the arrow now. So if you see the arrow now, this, we have the included, we have the screening, and we have the identification. If you look the arrow comes down to this first table under included now. So now let's look at this. This one talks about total studies included in review. How many are they? So now you need to give account of how many are they, and this has to correspond, because if we find I think I'm still going to show us the one that has already been done, and we are going to just have a clue of all this. So now another one is report of total included studies. You can see here, you need to put it here, because total, let's see this column, total studies included in review might not be the total study included in when you are trying to use your word. You might review this one and you might later not use it. You understand? So now, let's say this one is 50 and this one is 4. Mind you now, 50 if you take away 4 from 50, how many we have? We have about how many? So you need to account for all this. So now, new studies included in review. Maybe when you are trying to search and search, you see, oh, you have even concluded your search and you now see some articles. Maybe when you downloaded a particular paper, you look at the reference, you are now tracing that particular paper through the references. You can even come with new studies. So maybe you have downloaded all this. Because you've downloaded it or because you have a folder for this does not mean you cannot take new studies into account if they are very useful. So now, new studies included in review, you need to put it 3 or 4. Reports of new included study, maybe 5 or 3. You understand? So now, what's it called? Report access for eligibility. How many articles are eligible in your research? You report it. Report sought for retrieval. Maybe you've discarded this what's it called, these articles, but at the end of this you need it. You still need to activate this and bring the record screened. I think that might be a very big figure, maybe about 300 or 400. So now record identify from database. Maybe now database, you can have 5 or 6 what's it called, I can say, okay, Google Scholar 50, Web of Science 70, what do we have again? Scopus 100. You understand? So and so on. So now the next one now is record removed before screening. Oh, well, you say, oh, maybe you have some duplicate. Like I said, you can download maybe 3 or 4 articles in same time, maybe from different source. You need to make use of one and delete the rest. So you need to put it there. Duplicate record remove 5. You understand? Record mark as ineligible by automation to 6. Record remove for other reason. Maybe for other reason, maybe it's a qualitative study and you just want to maintain in your inclusion. You said you are using only quantitative. You can just remove all those ones. You understand? So now another one is from your record screen, you can have your record excluded. How many are they? You put it there. From your report sought for retrieval, how many reports not retrieved? Maybe 5 or 6 or 1 or 0. It might be 0. Mind you, it might be 0. You might not have anything to read. Just put it there. So for report access for eligibility. So now what's report excluded? Reason 1, why? Reason 2, why? How many? Reason. You need to put the reason and put how many paper. Put the reason and put how many paper. So now with this will now give us a complete table for your Prisma that you are going to use in your SLR. You understand? So now when this is where we need to pay attention, because now people want to search. Because for my own thesis, I was able to search, to have about 600 articles. You understand? But the way I search, you need to pay attention so that we can. Now we want to search for articles now. An example of search string. Now you are searching for, let's say we're searching for marketing. You see the way, but this search now, you need to use it on Scopus. I don't know if you've come across Scopus. You will see different line. This will help you. Even sometimes I've used this on Google Scholar because I just understand that when you are searching for materials, the command you use is very important. Some command, if you use or for same thing, you have different material. If you use and for same topic, you have different material. So these are ways, but you can't keep on using and but you still keep on having 6 articles, 7 articles. So now we have some commands such as or, marketing, and this. You understand? Depend on what you want to, how your topic, I don't know how, but just mind you, just make it, very brief. You don't put it, if you put it so long, you might be able not to get so many articles. So you can use and you can see the way to this. You can see the first one here. You can write marketing in full sometimes. Sometimes you can even write it in short. It does not mean it's still going on Scopus. You're still going to have material. You understand? You can have, I'm still going to I think maybe we should do a practical something. I think that will give us, because that's what we are here for. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me just go to scroll pause. I think I should have one with voting. Mm. Okay. I think let me use the voting because great. Just University of Rochester. Okay. Okay. So I don't know. I think you will need some access, your institution, something to access this. Okay. So I just want to give us a practical example because I think that should be okay. Signing. Oh, okay. This is where I'm even going. Okay, now. So can you see can you see my screen now?
Yes.
So we want to exploit now. So let's say we are trying to search for, so it depends on how you want to search also. Here you can search all field. You can search maybe articles, title, abstract, keyword, authors, folk authors, source, it depends. So all these are even very important when you are reporting your inclusion and exclusion. These are things you use. Let's say we are looking for all field now and we want to search. How do we search? We want to search marketing, and leadership, just marketing and leadership. Let's see what we have. Um, okay, sorry, I think I need to sign in. Okay, so now you can see, I think we have just 8. You can see we have just 8. So let's now look at something now. Let's say we are looking at marketing or leadership. See now, can you see? Can you
Yes.
see now? We have about
Yeah.
2
Wow.
million plus. So now the command that you give all this search this thing is very, and from this 2 million now, if I still want to bring it down on your Scopus site, you can come here and say you only need articles between 2010 and 2026. You understand? You can go. That will reduce. It's going to filter. You can say we have about 1 million plus now. You can still go further also. Okay, you are looking at articles only published in subject area, maybe business and management accounting only. You can limit it to that. You see, again, we have about 322 plus. You understand now? You understand? Okay. So now it depends. You can even give it, oh, I just want only book chapter, I just want only articles, I just want keyword, we want publication stage, is it final stage or the one in press, is it source, you understand, is it journal of business only, is it journal of cleanup production, you understand? So this is very important. So now another thing I used to do is that if I'm very sure this is what I want to use now, yeah, I think there is a way you can download or exploit this thing. So you just click on all and just click on this and give you this as an Excel. Oh, I think you can only set up 20 document. Okay, because our document is too much. Why I used to do this is I don't even need to stress myself. If let's say we have just, let me see if I can reduce this to like 20. Uh, let me just use the first one, which is 8. So, and okay. the center is, yeah, let me just use and. Okay,
We didn't
because
put space initially.
no, it's because I've already give them 20 days. I've already give them some limitation also. So because what I'm just trying to do, it depends on how you work. Me, I just want to work so fast. You understand? I'm just going to click on this, extract this, download a rough Excel this thing. So once you are download the Excel, even in your Excel, and but you need to, if you are doing this, you have to very good when it comes to sorting of data, because the Excel is going to be cumbersome. It depends on what indicator you have given to your search. Maybe you have authors, you have years, you have method, you have this. So from this Excel, I can extract each and just put it on bar chart, give me a pictorial representation, put it straight into my paper, discuss that, get the authors, put it straight in my publication report. You understand? So that is just, if you are trying to do this, just practice it. If you have any question, I will still drop my mail. You can send me an email or something, or you can still watch YouTube on how to extract data from all this side. Because if you are trying to download this one after the other, it's a long way to go. You understand? Because it depends on how many articles you are working with. So you can just download this and you have your what's it called? You have your document with you. So now, see something now. You can see what I just bring out now. You advanced query. This is what we call our search string. So now for this marketing and leadership, if I will just put this, you can see the way I put it. Marketing, this is the search string, marketing and leadership. And in 2019, so you can just copy this and put it in your work if you want to. But some author might not even, some reviewer might not even want you to do that. But why we do this is that if you copy this and somebody anywhere use this same what's it called, same code, this same article should appear. You understand? So that's why it's just important for us to do that. So so you can search, use or use and use, you can use Web of Science, use your Google Scholar. Just make sure you know how many articles you are using from these sources. Is very important. So now, what are the common challenges and best practices? Time management is very important. Database biases, intra readability, best practice. Keep a search log, which is very important. Even the SLR is not the, to me, when I'm doing my SLR, is if the procedure is very simple. First stage, second stage, and last stage. Is how you now report all these things that is very important. You understand? You can use EndNote, you can use Zotero, depend on what but see now you can see collaborating with peers. So if you have 2 or 3 people on SLR, I think you will really work so fast, because you will have to dedicate which one are you doing, which one are you can come. But just one person doing all this, one person can, look at, try to develop the things. One person can be looking at the search string, trying to bring out paper. Another person can wait after they are done to do the reporting and everything. So now okay, now participant work in pairs. Okay, so we don't really have the time, but because I still want to show us some articles that has been done already. So now you need to choose a very good topic when it comes to your SLR. For example, AI in higher education. So now define one research question, which is very important. Please, you can define one research question on AI in higher education. You can suggest keyword and 2 database. We can use Scopus, we can use Google database, you understand? So now, what do we now to do in an exercise? We don't have the time, but provide a sample research question. How does AI impact student engagement in higher education? This is a question, you understand? And how do we search it? Divine keyword or search string. How do you want to do it? So how does AI impact student engagement in higher education? How can we go to Scopus and get articles from this? You can get article through, you can use AI and students and engagement and higher education. You understand? That is one command. You can use AI and or AI or higher education, something will come up for you. You can use AI engagement and higher education. So this is how you do. You can note list 2 or 3 inclusion and exclusion on how you do this. So conclusion, SLR is fairly easy way to a research paper, like I said. But you can't use SLR for just your whole thesis. No, a thesis need to go deeper than SLR. So SLR has to be unique and reproducible. So some people need to use this and use this. 3 people can use the same method. So far, you are working on different objectives. You are not doing the same thing. SLR how to identify a novel gap for the future research. If you have any questions, so let me I think I have some downloaded paper here. We can just go through them, see what I think. This one was written by my supervisor, Professor Harrison. So this is a systematic literature review on entrepreneurial leadership, a systematic review. So let's just see what they have done here. So now, the abstract, definitely after you have done with your work. So introduction, you need to have an introduction. Definitely, you discuss that, your introduction. Methodology. So now you need to discuss your methodology. So when you are discussing your methodology, you are now giving account of what tools are you going to use. You understand? So now, in this methodology now, so in order to provide a focused review of entrepreneurial leadership and related concepts, a systematic review was employed. You need to let us know, because it's not only systematic review we have. Like I said at the beginning, we have others, where we have narrative, we have other stuff. You understand? So now, but that is not the problem. So another thing here is some people might even, because we have authors that has proposed steps of SLR that you can easily adopt, is very acceptable. You understand? You can't just say, oh, you want to do this. No, you can follow people, authors that have already made procedure that you can use, and you can easily reference them. So now let's look at how they carry out this. So now for the first one, like I said, stage 1, which is the planning for review. You can see now the planning for review. What did they do here is to set up their research question that is going to guide them for this research. So what do they have about theory here, which is okay. What is the influence of entrepreneurial leadership? What are the attributes of an entrepreneurial leadership? How do this leadership develop these attributes? So finally, how do they? So now inclusion. Now this is an example of inclusion that we're talking about. So inclusion criteria for this paper is paper published in English. 1. The focus of paper must be entrepreneurial leadership as a style of leadership. That's second one. The paper directly addresses one or more of the review questions. That's another inclusion. And the paper published between 1970 to 2006. That would be a lot of database for you to analyze, you can see. You understand? So now you have the exclusion. The first exclusion now is paper not in peer review publication. Yes, peer review. You can put peer review. You can put the one that when you try take your time to examine that Scopus interface very well, you can put all this command there that, oh, you only want peer review paper, or you don't want peer review paper. That is conference proceeding or book chapter. These are just the paper that these authors have considered for this work. And paper focus on other styles too of leadership. Maybe paper that focuses on transactional leadership, sustainability leadership. They did not consider that type of paper in this article. So now the next one they've done, the stage 2, is conducting the review. You understand? So when you are conducting review, I've told you, you need to be mindful of your search string and your keywords. So now this is their own way of reporting the keyword. Like now, the way you put them in your scope, or you just come here, okay, search string 1, how do you put it? Is it full marketing, or is it full, or you just put only market and put your star. So you can see the way they put it. They just put ENTREP and they put star. That is the way they do their first one. So again, they put LEAD and star. That is just for leadership. I think they are doing this research in a developing country. So that's why you see developing. And the last one, they search. So now, if they search for the first one, they might have maybe about 2 or 3 or 4. So that's why they proceeded to put leadership, then put developing, then now put entrepreneurial leadership. You understand? So the next one, so these are just the way. So now you can see challenges or abilities or capabilities or attributes or competency or skills. So this is not only hand, that you can use or and together in a set. And also, yes, I think this one is very, you can see this search string 4. They consider Google Scholar for this. So now they said they only put entrepreneurial leadership on Google Scholar, and they have, this is the way they've account for their stuff. So now database, this is what I'm saying. Table 1 database, you have Emirate, you have Science Direct, you have Wales Online, Sega Journal, Taylors and Francis, which is very good. You have Web of Knowledge. So if you have only 2, if you have 1 or 5, please just put everything in there. So that is the purpose of you reporting your work. You understand? So now, study quality assessment. How do they do this? They say each article found through the SLR procedure was assessed for its qualities against the following criteria. Does the paper report unambiguous findings based on evidence and argument? Is the paper appropriately referenced? That's another thing. If it's not referenced, do you need to use it? No, because this paper is not well referenced. So now data extraction, you can see now, data extraction, synthesis, and validation. You understand? This is your, how do you, so they said they use EndNote software here. So if you know you are very good in software, these are easy way for you to, be fast when you are doing your SLR. So to generate the reference details for each of the articles and was cross-checked manually to know if this thing is correct or not. Data was synthesized to identify themes that emanated from the findings in each accepted paper. Maybe from, okay, when they said a final validation exercise was then carried out on 83 accepted papers. So they make use of 83 accepted paper for this study. But at the end of it, they finally use 82. That means one of the paper was not used after they, tried to go through the paper again. So now the last stage now is reporting and dissemination. You understand? So how do you report? Like I said, now this is what they are all looking for. They are looking, they say focus on the article review. Now you can see, if we look at these articles, they should be up to 82 that they've said they've used. So this paper now is up to 82. You can see, so that's up to 82. So you can have your discussion. Like I said, in your last stage, you need to have discussion. Some people said you can have your descriptive statistics. Why do you need your descriptive statistics? Because from your database, don't mind you, you have your like I said when I was saying, if you can, from the Scopus, if you can put all this in CSV, it will help you to do this very well when it comes to, they want to see how the contribution is based on geographical distribution. You can see, so with that database now, you can able to do this simple analysis and be sure of, how many papers belongs to US, UK, Malaysia, Nigeria. You understand? You can still further goes on with your what's it called? Descriptive statistics by showing how many type of study, conceptual study, review study, or empirical study. You understand? You can also go further to know whether how many qualitative, how many mixed method do you use. What method have the authors used in collecting their case study? Is it case studies? Is it an interview or questionnaire also? Also, furthermore, you can account for numbers of publications. So if you don't keep account of all the papers, to do this will not be easy, you understand? So that is why you need to keep what's it called, your articles. So you can see now from this now, they even try to analyze literature source. How many papers belongs to Journal of Small Business Management? How many papers belong to International Entrepreneur? So they've done that. Also, they even go extend to do the citation. How those papers, just for them to show that the paper we use, the citation are high and they are very important to our study. So, and what happened when a paper have about 2,000, about 350 citation? That means the paper is very okay. It's very good. You understand? So now you can do that. So it depends on how many stuff you want to do. So now this is now where they are trying to report the result. Now, the first research question is, what is the influence of entrepreneurial leadership? So now they are going to now discuss based on what findings they have, brought out, and based on 82 definitions they have in the tables, they are now trying to summarize each themes, and at the end of it, they are now going to conclude on what findings do they have. So you can say, so SLR is, you just have to be very patient, and you cannot do it at once. It's something you need to do now. You go back to later just for you to have some fresh insight. So now you can report your limitation to the studies, your conclusion, recommendation for further studies, and give account of your of your referencing. So thank you for listening. So if you have
Thank
any
you so much.
question or any discussion, any addition, subtraction,